So the way that you currently have the map coloured at the moment, is that any further changes to this? So I'm just taking note of the total votes that you have at the top of the screen there. Joe Biden on 268, Trump 205, and quite a few states in between, which could go either way.
There are. These are the changes I would make. I will while we're here, I will make an addition to a couple of color coding changes here that I'll put into a lean Democrat or a lean Republican column. One thing I wanted to go back to, I didn't want to skip over your question there for your viewers, was an interesting question. Are there any states that the Democrats won in 2016 that could flip back into the Republican column? This is not a topic that's often talked about because we're looking at massive national leads for Joe Biden in every poll, 12, 13, 14 points, as high as that. But it could happen. Two states that I'll throw out there as a wild card for you. Right now they're sky blue on your screen, but Minnesota and New Hampshire. Most likely those would be Minnesota. Like the rest of the industrial Midwest, it is a state that is drifting away from the Democrats. I don't think this year that will happen. I think Joe Biden's going to be okay in Minnesota. But if there was one, certainly the Trump campaign will target it. They'll try to make it competitive. If there is one that could fall back, it would be Minnesota. That's going to be held down a little bit by high voter turnout in the Minneapolis-St. Paul region. It's an urban center, has not suffered as much of an outflow of jobs as the other states that we just mentioned. But it is a state that's drifting away from Democrats. Hillary Clinton only won that by 1 to 2 points. It was extremely close last election in 2016. That said, these states all move in tandem together. So it's very unlikely you'd see Joe Biden win Wisconsin, but lose Minnesota. So these things all move nationally together, and for that reason, it's unlikely. But if there's one state I would point out to you right now, 3.5 months out, it would be Minnesota.
Okay, excellent. I might have jumped the gun here, but I understand you have a few state betting opportunities that you're willing to share with the viewers today.
For sure, and some of these we colored in on your map as a lean. Some of them we have colored as solid Democrat or solid Republican. We'll start with we'll save the long shots for last, and we'll just go into our normal projections here. So if you want to pull up Florida, we'll start with that. Florida is a state that Joe Biden's consistently led here in most recent polling, probably for the past 2 months, pretty comfortably. You'll see leads 5, 6, and 7 points. That's pretty sizable if you're getting that consistently. The reason that's yellow on our map, and I would be very hesitant to put that into Joe Biden's column, is just because of historical strength for the Republican Party in Florida. It feels like time after time, they're always able to pull an iron out of the fire and win by 1 point over the Democrats. They've done that in gubernatorial races. Rick Scott's done that in the Senate race. Ron DeSantis, the Florida governor, also did it last year over Andrew Gillum. For whatever reason, it seems like the Republicans are always able to eke out a win in Florida. And that's because they're very well organized. The Florida Republican Party has an excellent ground game, one of the best in the country. They really know how to turn out their voters on election day, and they do a great job of it. And so for that reason, you're seeing Republicans here at 2.6. It's hard for me to envision that, even though the pandemic is at its height in Florida, which is now the epicenter in the United States. I still think you're getting great value at 2.6 there. I think what you want to just do here is buy low and sell high, and you're certainly buying low on the Republicans in Florida, getting a very cheap price. I think 2.6 is a great value.
Okay, fantastic. Next,
we can move on. Yep, we can move right on there to Ohio if you want, Pete.
Okay. Okay, what do you see here in Ohio?
Ohio is the same. In all 4 of these, I'm going to be recommending you to take the Republicans at their perceived low point. I don't know this is their absolute lowest point, but I know you are getting tremendous value. And again, I say that simply because I expect this race to tighten. Ohio, another state we covered in the industrial Midwest, that's part of the Rust Belt that is now colored pink instead of yellow. It's just drifted away from the Democrats so much, really unfavorable demographics. The presidential elections throughout my lifetime and beyond have always been fought over Ohio as the centerpiece of the battleground. Fun fact that for your viewers, no Republican has ever won the White House without carrying the state of Ohio. I think that remains the same here. If Donald Trump were to lose Ohio, I think that's definitely game over. But it has drifted so far away from the Democrats in recent years that I think 1.65 to back Republicans to win here. You are getting Joe Biden leading in a few polls by 2, by even 4 points in some polls, recent polls, that I think you're getting the Republicans at their low point. And I think 1.65 offers tremendous value. I think that'll definitely rise in price. I think that's a back.
Okay. One thing I mentioned is that these markets, the state betting markets, are quite new to the exchange. I believe they're only loaded in the last couple of weeks. So you may see a lack of liquidity in some of these individual state markets. So you may actually get a better price than that 1.65. But look, don't be shy in putting up a bid. If you don't like the price that's there, and if it's a reasonable price, there's every chance that you may actually get that bet matched. So what else do you have on your list?
That's a great piece of advice, Pete. You always tell that to any trader or analyst out there. Let the market come to you. No need this early in the game. There's no need to just fire away. You can leave an order up, and as liquidity increases, you'll get it filled. Most likely to get it filled eventually. Good piece of advice.
Cool.
Next up, Pete. Let's take a look at Georgia.
Okay.
That I think offers some value there. Georgia is one of these states that is demographically moving toward the Democrats. In the past 8 or 10 years, that's really begun to shift. You see, there have been several polls showing Joe Biden even leading in Georgia. Right now, you're seeing, again, I think you're getting Trump at his low point here, 1.72 as a potential backing opportunity. That's really good value for your money in a state that, again, it is drifting toward the Democrats demographically. Barring a tidal wave on election day, I still can't see Joe Biden winning it. It would take a real national tidal wave. I do think it'll be competitive. I think it'll be within perhaps 3 points. I think Democrats can find a way to maybe even get it within 2, but I don't think the demographics are quite there yet. And for that reason, at this moment in time, I would back there at 1.72, and you can just easily trade up. I think that'll rise for you. Next one, we can final basic bet, Pete. Before we get into our more entertaining long shots here, I'd say let's go to Texas. Take a look at that market.
Sure. Okay. Against at 1.52, and I dare say you may get Democrats closer to $3 in this market.
For sure. I think you're getting almost 1 to 2 on your money there. And again, I think you're looking at excellent value for your money. But you probably could even get 1.6 given the current state of polling. I will point out, Texas also undergoing the same demographic transformation as Georgia due to the influx of college-educated voters from the northern states. I think Georgia would be the first one to flip back into the demographic column nationwide before Texas. I think Georgia would go first. Texas, it's just too unlikely for me. Again, I don't think the demographics are there yet, even with a massive Democratic turnout on election day. I should point out, Pete, that the day this does happen, this will have a transformative effect on American politics. Texas is 30 electoral votes. You win that, you're pretty much putting the election away. And that's a massive amount of votes in the Democratic column. If Democrats are able to secure that for the next few years, can really transform the nation. But, excuse me, you're seeing Republicans there at 1.52. Poll came out the other day that had Joe Biden leading by 5 points. Now, that's one poll. I don't believe that's anywhere close to the real reflection of the race. But the mere fact that Joe Biden is that competitive, incidentally, he also went up there went up on the air in Texas today with ads for the first time. That's big news here. The fact that the Biden campaign, A, has the money to do that, and B, has opted to put their money there is a strong sign of confidence that they feel confident at least making Trump defend that territory. So,
well, it sounds like they're giving themselves every opportunity to win Texas anyway with the amount of money that they're spending.
They are, and that's why I would flip the other side of that. I think you're getting Trump at his low point here. Can't see it getting any lower. I don't see this ever getting to a 50 race just by virtue of demographics and historical trends. And so right here, I think for a quick back, if you can get 1.6, that's excellent value for your money.
Okay. Now for the big ones. I understand you have a couple of roughies up your sleeve that a couple of surprises in order, which may return a decent value here.
Right, and this is a great way to hedge. You'll notice that I recommended backing Republicans at their low point in the last 4 markets. But for a lower investment, if you want to hedge against that, or if you just want to take a long shot, we're going to offer you 3 right now. That if this race does not change, it does not revert to the mean. I expect that it will, but if it doesn't, and Joe Biden just continues to go over the horizon, let's say post Labor Day, closer to October, you're looking at a low double-digit lead for Joe Biden. Trump could fall off the cliff here. It is possible. I don't believe he will, but it's possible. So we're going to take a look at 3 that if you want a long shot, here are 3 we're going to recommend. We're going to start up at the top here with Alaska. Alaska, simply by virtue of its small population, it's got a really quirky independent streak, does not usually elect Democrats at the national level. In fact, it's only elected 1 Democratic senator statewide since its inception as a state. That said, it does have the electorate where you could script a way for a Democrat to win the state. You'll see Democrats offer here at 6-1. I think you could probably even get 7 or higher for your money. That's actually worth a shot. Alaska's got a libertarian streak. It's got a strong independent streak as well. It's not that partisan. I think I could see Joe Biden breaking through here with it right. Again, it's going to need all the dominoes to go and play here for Election Day. But if you can get 6 or 7, I think that's worth consideration. We can move this down the list here, Pete, toward Montana, our second one. This is another one where the dominoes could fall into place. See that as high as 11. That's also worth consideration. Montana's got a little bit of an independent streak. It is solid red on the map, but again, if this race falls off a cliff, could happen. I say this because Montana Governor Steve Bullock, very popular governor, he's getting high marks for handling the COVID crisis. He is running for Senate. So you could have an effect reverse coattails here where a Senate candidate could perhaps help Joe Biden, or you could have enough voters that just elect Steve Bullock and split their ticket and vote for Trump. It could go either way. But Montana's got enough of an independent streak. It has elected Democrats several times to the Senate. It's not that partisan. Usually does vote Republican in a presidential election. But again, like Alaska, you could script a way where it could happen. Trump did have a lead in a poll that came out yesterday by 9. But again, there have been other polling that's indicated Joe Biden could have a chance in that electorate. And I think at 11, if you can get even higher than 11, that's worth a shot. There's low liquidity in this market, as your viewers can see, but I expect this to pick up, and it's worth consideration if you really want a long shot.
Okay, one to keep in mind. And the last on your list?
Last on our list here is perhaps the most intriguing. We'll go down to Utah.
Okay.
Utah, like Alaska's historically obviously voted Republican all the time, but it's got a unique enough an electorate, very Mormon heavy, and more influenced by national trends in the Donald Trump era than other states. Donald Trump did win Utah by not as much of a margin in 2016. Donald Trump is not a popular man in Utah. Now we can get into Mitt Romney here, which is really the X factor in this race. Mitt Romney's been the lone Republican to truly speak out against the abuses of the Trump administration, also the lone Republican to cast a vote in favor of impeachment, voted guilty in Donald Trump's impeachment trial on the first charge, abuse of power, and is also the lone Republican to condemn the Roger Stone clemency, which we discussed in the prior episode. Here's your play here. If Mitt Romney were to come out, and there's discussion of this, if he were to come out and specifically endorse Joe Biden for president, you're going to get a real market move here. You're going to probably see this come in from 6.4. I think you can get higher. This will probably come in toward 3 or 4. And if Donald Trump were to fall off the polling cliff here, you could script a scenario where if he gets in a really public fight with Mitt Romney, Romney will openly endorse Biden. Biden will at least become competitive in the state. No guarantee that he'd win, of course. These are long shots for a reason. But I certainly think this market will narrow. Okay. This will be, of the 3 we mentioned, Pete, this will be by far the most interesting to watch, because you can watch what Mitt Romney will do. And I think Romney, if he's going to make a move, will do so in the next several weeks. So right. Utah's really one to keep your eye on. I expect liquidity to increase in this market. And the most interesting of the 3 long shots here for your viewers.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like a great trading opportunity here. Would it be fair to say that out of the 3 long shots that you've mentioned, if one of them gets up at the other 2, would it happen to result in a win as well for the Democrats?
Oh, absolutely. If you have an election night where Joe Biden's winning Alaska, then this thing has truly gone over the horizon. He's put
Yeah.
Trump away by the top bracket that we covered in your electoral bracket markets. You're looking at a Joe Biden total of the high 300s. I think, matter of fact, I'll pull that up for you right now. We could, just for our viewers, if you want to follow us along throughout the campaign, right now I'm going to put Alaska as light red. I do expect that to still go Republican, but worthy of a long shot. Utah, we're going to keep in place till Mitt Romney makes a move one way or the other. Arizona, I'm going to leave as Arizona and Wisconsin. I'm going to leave both as toss-ups for now. Wisconsin, due to historical trends. Arizona as well. It's only been won by a Democrat one time. Bill Clinton was the last to do it. And I don't see Arizona as moving rapidly in favor of the Democrats. And Joe Biden does have very convincing leads in some polls there. But for me to really move this to the blue, I'm going to need to see that lead hold till about Labor Day, which is early September here in the U.S. So those would be the shifts I would make. And right now, you'll see, don't have Joe Biden quite at 270. We can even move Joe up to, we'll give him that district in Omaha that we talked about. See at 269, he's one short. I would not move enough states right yet, and although some analysts will, I would not have him in above 270 just yet.
You're nearing that mark that's going to eventually see Joe Biden becoming the next president of the United States. So it is going to be interesting. But Tavis, that's about all that we have time for with this episode. Thanks very much for all your insights once again. It's a pleasure to have you part of this series, and I look forward to hearing from you again in a couple of weeks. To the viewers out there, thanks very much for tuning in. Remember to gamble responsibly, and we hope to see you again soon.